Hey guys, what's going on? This is Dr. Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com. And this is a special video and a lot of the information that I put behind my paywall on Patreon. So if you guys ever decide that you want to take training to the next level and you want to actually learn from somebody that's educated and knows how to do things and has done it for a long time with no injuries, please go on to Patreon and subscribe. But I wanted to give you guys a little hint on not only how I figured out where to put my hands, but where I have all of my firemen and almost everybody that I train at the gym for the last 20 years put their hands on the bench press. Now, when you first start to lift, you're going to find that it's a lot easier to just go wider because in your mind, and in a lot of people's minds, in normal gyms, going wider means less range of motion. But in reality, going wider usually puts more pressure on the AC joint and therefore reduces the mileage long term that you can put into the bench press. So I'm sure we know a lot of different people that have had rotator cuff problems, pec tears, anterior shoulder and bicep tendon issues from the bench press itself, which a lot of that could have been avoided if at the very beginning they would have been benching with a proper hand position and then also training with the right muscles as well. But you find that instinctively, it's very easy to find out where you need to bench press. It just may take you longer to get there. But I always try to tell people this. The position in which you're trying to lift should be the one that allows you to do it the longest. Meaning that if I go wider, I might be able to bench press more weight at the first 1 to 3 years. But then as I start getting more and more mileage in an improper position for my structure, I'm going to start damaging shoulder joints and all the types of stuff that's attached to it. So as I got stronger, i.e. in the 600-pound raw bench press range as a full meat lifter, which at the time I did, I was only, I think, the 13th or the 14th guy to ever do it regardless of weight class in 2015 or 14. What I started to realize is as I got stronger, as I started to get narrower and narrower, but it still allowed me to train. Then I get introduced to a friend of mine named Julius Maddox, who has the highest bench press ever done as a human, and I want to say around 793. I had first learned of this shorter or narrower hand position by a guy named Jeremy Hornstra and also talking with Bill Kazmaier, both of which had narrower grips compared to other people, but also had extremely long careers as far as how long they were able to bench press big weights. So I find that for most people that are gym oriented, the biggest problem comes from the fact that they're not patient with getting better. We may want to put our bodies in better positions for our joints than necessarily for our initial muscle progression, meaning that just because going wider may feel better off the very beginning, which makes perfect sense, because for a lot of us, our anterior delts, they understand how to function due to daily life, right? Everything we do is in front of us all the time. But learning to use your triceps and maintain an upper back tightness and strength is not common in the daily population today based on the fact that we have seated desk jobs and that we don't use our muscles correctly anyway with poor posture. So it only makes sense that this area feels the strongest because it's the best neurologically connected when we first start. But in the long game, it's important to understand that whatever position gets you to be able to train the longest with the least amount of mileage or injuries is probably our best position. This is totally true if you're not a powerlifter. This means that your major sport or hobby is not necessarily strength in and of itself in the bench press, but strength as far as overall and general health. So football players, right? Swimmers, all these other factors may do better benching narrower long term. I also started to realize this was important when I learned this from Charles Poliquin. So now it's kind of called the Wenning Poliquin method. But Charles used to train a lot of his Olympic level throwers, which were gold medalists, on a narrower bench press than when they came in. And as they got stronger, narrower, their hammer and their discus and their shot put throws went up dramatically with far less shoulder injuries and just nicks and bumps and bruises. So I find that it's interesting that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why there's so much pushback on a narrower hand position because most people are taught to bench wider and that they think that the bench press is a pec exercise, when in all reality, it should be an arm dominant exercise if you want to last long term. So enough of the overview and the background. Now I'll post you guys the video, watch till the end, and then find out where your grip should be. And let's bench as long as we can without any shoulder injuries. So this is Dr. Matt Wenning at wenningstrength.com. Hope you enjoy the video, and I hope it helps your training.
So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let my hand just completely relax, and then I'm gonna fall forward, and at the last second, I'm gonna put my hands down. And then she's gonna measure it. Your body knows exactly where it should be. Yep, there. So we're at 22 inches. Now, without even me trying to measure it, this should be within about an inch of this. So if we come over here, she's gonna measure my hands when I sit up for the bar. This is where I bench 6'11". 22 inches. So that's how you do it. Your body knows best. Where you fall instinctively is going to be the the best position and the least likely to get hurt with the bones in the best position. So it's depending on these lengths and how wide your shoulders are. And mine was right at 22 inches falling on the ground, and where I put my hands to be my best bench presser. Talk to you guys soon.